One of the most important things to do when learning a new piece is to pick good fingerings that make sense for your hand, and then to stick with those fingerings. It can be difficult to know what equals good fingering, so today I'm giving you my top 7 strategies that will help you learn your pieces much faster. Now, these strategies aren't hard and fast rules, but generally speaking, they're good strategies to start with. So number 1, avoid using thumbs on black keys. Our thumbs are so short, so when we put a thumb on a black key, we have to awkwardly swing our hand so far to the side that is just not an efficient movement. So especially for fast pieces, avoid the thumbs on the black keys. Number 2, when first starting a piece, write in a finger number every time you have to move your hand to a new position. This way, you can see every time your hand has to move. And this is preferred over writing in every single finger number over every single note because your score is going to look too messy and too confusing. And your goal is to be efficient. So if you can use a finger that will let you stay in that position for longer, you'll generally want to use that finger. For example, in this minuet in G, let's say I'm not sure what finger to begin with in the right hand. Well, go through all the finger options. If I start with 1, I'll immediately have to change positions in order to reach the G. Right, so that's not smart. And that actually goes for fingers 2 and 3 and 4 as well. So if we're thinking in a 5-finger position, the only thing that makes sense is to begin with finger 5 on D, so we don't have to move right away to get that G. So write in the finger numbers at every new position. Write 5 above the D here at the beginning, then see how long you can stay in this position. Okay, in measure 3, you could technically just reach finger 5 to play the E, but you couldn't get very far before having to move your hand again. So, like before, try out other fingerings and see which one makes the most sense. I'll add here that finger 5 or pinkies on black keys are not always the best choice either because the pinky is quite short as well. So, but then we have to move to get the G. So let's try finger 3. That was pretty good. That was perfect actually because we're in our 5-finger position here. So make sure to write a 3 above this E where it changes. Now here we have a lower G, and so we know we have to change again. So write a finger 1 over this G. Number 3. Look for patterns and use the same fingering each time you have that pattern. For example, in this Mozart sonata, we have a little sequence starting on an A, then goes down to G, and then F. Changes a little bit there, but basically the same. So every time you begin that pattern, start with finger 5 so that it's always the same. If it's a pattern, use the same fingerings if you can. Number 4, use what your technique exercises taught you. Technique exercises meaning scales, arpeggios, chords, and inversions. There's a reason why we work so hard on learning the correct fingerings for all of these. So when we see these in our music, we already have an instinct of what fingers to use. Again, in this Mozart sonata, look at the left hand. So it really is just outlining chords. First, it's outlining a C chord. then an F chord in second inversion in this third measure. And if you've practiced inversions, you know that second inversion chords are generally played with 5, 2, 1. Then it's back to C. And finally, a G chord in first inversion. And first inversion chords are typically played with fingers 5, 3, and 1. So, because we've studied inversions, we already have this instinct of what fingers to use for each of these chords. All of this is ingrained in our heads from our technique practice, so use it if you can. And I keep saying if you can, because I know there will always be circumstances when you don't want to use the standard fingering, and that's okay. Number 5, tempo matters. After you choose your fingering, try to play it as close to tempo as you can, and then decide if the fingering that you chose is still right for you. This is probably obvious, but playing something slowly feels much different than playing that same thing quickly. And so then the fingering sometimes needs to be adjusted when you play fast. Number 6, hands together also matters. Again, once you choose your fingering, make sure to try it hands together. Once you play both hands together, it can feel drastically different, and the fingering sometimes needs to be adjusted. And finally, number 7, if you're still unsure of how to go about choosing smart fingerings, find a reputable edition with fingerings already marked in the score. In the end, you might not choose to stick with these editorial fingerings, but it'll offer a lot of insight into smart fingering. So you can think about why they marked it that way and how you can apply those same concepts in your other pieces. To close this out, I need to mention that your pieces might feel different from day to day, especially when they're newer. So fingering that you choose today might not feel great tomorrow. And it's okay to change it. Just be sure to write it in and stay consistent with the fingerings that are in the score. So I hope these strategies are helpful to you. If you have specific questions, don't hesitate to drop a comment below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.